and the blood and the scabbing. So I'm on my computer, and he hadn't seen me yet. He goes over to the refrigerator, and I'm just looking at him. He turns around, and he's like, Mom, trigger warning. I was like,
wow.
Like, I'll be fine in 3 days.
He'll get used to it, right? Talk about it with Franjez. Today's special guest is the CEO of Elite Healthspan. Today's guest is Erica Morizio. Erica, thank you very much for being here.
Sure, thank you.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
Good. I'm glad. Let's start with a little wellness check. How are you doing today?
Oh, today's a great day.
Good.
Great day. The extra little bit of sunshine really, I think, is like a boost of adrenaline to the system.
Vitamin D, right?
Vitamin D.
That's the one. All right, let's start from the beginning. Where were you born?
Torrington, Connecticut.
Torrington, Connecticut.
Northwest Connecticut. Next to a farm.
Nice. Next to a farm.
Next to a farm.
Do you have any memories with the farm?
Oh, yeah. Jumping out of haylofts. We always had round of kittens every year. We'd have to find home for the kittens, petting the cows. It was great. Riding horses.
Nice.
It was great.
Sounds like a nursery rhyme.
I mean, it was. It was
nice.
like, fishing and
nice.
all of it.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit more about your childhood, teen years. What were you into? What was school like?
I had the type of parents who said, if you want something, figure out how you're going to do it and how you're going to pay for it. So at an early age.
Figure out what you want, but don't count on us.
Right. So at an early age, it was you take advantage of the neighborhood you're in. And I would do dog walking. I would water plants. And I would babysit. And I used to call it the bundle. I wanted the bundle. I wanted them to do all three. And I even collected cans and would turn them in for the 5 cents. And it just started. That's what my parents instilled on me. And I remember the day I told my parents I wanted to go to the city for school. So we're living in this small town. And my father was from Washington, D.C. My mother's from Nottingham, England. They just ended up in this small town for my father's work. So I said, I really want to take this class in the city. And he was like, well, if you can figure out how you're going to get there and where you're going to stay, I'll pay for the class.
Wow. All right.
At the time, I was waitressing in this restaurant that did breakfast and lunch every weekend. And I came home and I go, well, I spoke to Jerry and Elaine. That's actually their name, too. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, not Seinfeld. I spoke to, and they said I could stay with them. And they told me to take the Bonanza bus line in. And he was like, she's really going. And I was 16 at that time. And it was my first time staying in the city. And at that point, I was like, this is home for me. I loved being in the city.
Yeah, it's much different.
A little different.
Yeah.
A little different.
Tell us about that experience, that transition.
It's you go from
Quiet
one way of life into it's constant all the time, constantly learning, hearing different languages, seeing different cultures. And to some people, it's stressful either way, whether it's positive or negative. But for me, I just absorbed everything like a sponge. And it was the same thing, even when I went to school there. Okay, I need to get a job. So I would waitress. Well, I'm not working this night, so let me see if I can pick up a coat check shift. And okay, well, I have 5 classes. This is my schedule. Let me see if I can get an internship. So it's going to school full-time internship, working I didn't stop when I was there and never stopped. And then from there, I ended up getting a job at Bloomingdale's. I was a buyer at Bloomingdale's, and that was great. And that was great, but
January 2000.
This was like 20. Yeah. And I loved it. I loved it. I didn't love when 9/11 happened.
You loved the Bloomingdale's job.
Oh, yeah.
And why didn't you like when 9/11 happened?
Because I didn't like being trapped in the city and not being able to go home.
Oh, you mean that day?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
9/11 was scary. Being in Manhattan, it was really scary.
Yeah.
Where were you?
High school.
It was,
Yonkers.
yeah, no,
We
it
could
was-
see the smoke from
Oh, yeah.
from Yonkers.
Yeah. It was just, that shifted me enough to say, okay, I want to go back to my family.
I had enough of this city.
I did. I said, I want to go home. I want to go home. And I did.
And what came next?
I ended up becoming,
Manager at Trumbell Kitchen?
yeah, boy, you pulled it all up. You're going to be pulling things I don't even remember. I did. I became a manager at Trumbull Kitchen at a restaurant in Hartford.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd you like that?
It was,
You don't sound excited about it. It was just something to do in the meantime.
I didn't really want to, it was fine at the time.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people and, it just, it allowed me to, it opened up more opportunities where, someone said to me, have you ever thought about real estate? When I was there. And I said, I hadn't, but I'm going to go home and think about it. I thought about it. And I ended up shifting and I ended up meeting my husband through real estate. And he had a firm and saw my retail background and we thought it would be a good opportunity. And they weren't able to bring in a person to like spearhead the retail, which is fine. And I ended up leaving because it wasn't really happening. And we ended up staying in touch and we ended up getting married.
Nice.
So,
Very nice. And then the kids came along. Not long after. How's motherhood
We're
been
going to do
treating
it.
you?
Let's just do it.
All in now.
I mean, yeah. Our daughter's graduating this year from high school. And it's like, oh my God. It's like, it goes like that.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Very fast. Tell us about the Proprietor Silkworm Boutique.
Well, so after we were married and let's see, our son was about 1. We did have help with the kids, but I was getting antsy. And, because I'd been working my whole life and now I'm managing the household, which is a very challenging job to have, managing the household. And I was like, I was just getting really antsy. And so I said to Nick, who's, we're divorced, but we're very good friends. And I said, there's a store in town for sale. What do you think? And he goes, well, let's get a hold of the numbers. We'll bring it to the accountant. If it produces a profit and it makes you happy, then we can talk about it. So we did just that. The numbers worked. It had been an established business for several years. So basically, I just took over the business and it was great. Opened up a second location in a town called West Hartford, Connecticut. And it was doing great. It was doing really great. And so great that I actually at the time thought, I should probably just focus on this and not the other one. And did that. And then it was around like 2008, 2009. when a financial tsunami came around and, everything just kind of tanked. It was when the mortgages were all just collapsing. And it went from, $10,000 months down to like $3,000 months. And it was like, what do you do now? You do the same thing. You do everything. You're doing, all right, who needs a closet clean out? Who needs personal styling? Who wants to throw a party in the store? It's just constant hustle. Get involved with the junior league, get involved with whatever, there were so many prep schools in the area, just kind of like this area too. It's all right, let's get this fraternity in. Let's get this fraternity in. Let's get this. It was just constant. And even though it was that constant, it still wasn't enough to, I was just breaking even. So after doing that for about 4 years, just decided to, you know what, sometimes you just need to walk away. And so, however, during that time, in my mind, I'm going, oh God, I'm really stressed out. I probably better do something. So I started working out and I hired a coach. And then I said, well, I don't want to just work out. I want to look like that person who had on a sparkly bikini and was like posing. I want to look like her.
Where did you see that?
Oh God, this had to be back in like 2013.
I mean, was it an ad? What was it?
It was like the cover of a CD.
Okay.
A DVD. Okay. Remember when we used to have DVDs? And I was like, I want to look like her. And then so I had to look it up and it's like, oh, she does these NPC competitions. What's that? And then, so I hired a coach and I said, I want to do an NPC competition. They're like,
what
okay, great.
NPC?
It's the National Physiques Committee.
Okay.
And it's for bodybuilding. And I had no idea what that meant at the time. So
how far into health and fitness were you at the moment before you jumped into NPC?
At that point, I was not that far into it.
What were you into?
I was
once in a blue, exercising.
I was yoga.
Okay.
I would definitely eat on the healthier side.
Okay.
But I was never really following a diet. But I would bring meals, or I would go to the restaurant next door and get like an arugula salad with a piece of salmon. But I would not by any means call myself like an expert or even a person that was like so into it. Yeah. It was just like, yeah, I want to eat healthy. I want to look, feel good and look good. And I was doing yoga at night because with having the stores and the household and the kids, I found at that time yoga was great. And the practice was like right around the corner from where we were living. Did that 3 nights a week. And so I definitely made it a part of my life, but just a part of my life.
And then what came next?
Well, so
you got into the fitness.
Yeah. So people were coming into the store and they started like, oh, you're like, Erica, what are you doing? Like my arms are more toned and, just they were noticing things. Yeah. My clothes were fitting better. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do a competition. And they were like, what? I'm going to do a competition. I mean, at that point, when they started giving me, my coach at that time started me with macro plans. That's when I ended up getting my Fitness Pal. And
what's a Fitness Pal?
So there's this app called My Fitness Pal. And you can put in what your goal is, like whether it's weight or calories or macros, whatever it is. And that was my best tool at the time for being able to really balance macros because they weren't giving me a plan of, okay, at this meal, I have, 3 to 4 ounces of chicken breast with a half a cup of rice and a mixed green salad with apple cider vinegar.
So it wasn't being that specific?
It was not that specific.
Okay.
So the macro plan taught me a lot about the nutrient density of food. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to having a Quest bar, which I think is, as far as protein bars go, they're up there. But having that is like the same thing as having 3 to 4 ounces of chicken, a half a cup of rice, and a mixed green salad. So I would rather have the meal than a bar. But it was eye-opening as to, how many calories and how much fat and how much this is in certain foods. It's like, oof, like it really opens your eyes. It's like, I probably don't want to eat that right now. It's not worth it.
Definitely. So then you started training for it, eating different, learning more.
And did my first competition.
What was that? What was the competition exactly about? What are they looking for?
So the division I was in, so within bodybuilding, there's different divisions. The tiniest division for women is the bikini division. Then comes physique, then comes bodybuilding. I was in the bikini division.
So they're not looking for muscles.
They are. Not as much at the time when I was competing. But at that competition, I saw what it was really about, and the tan and the hair and the makeup and the posing and everything. And the goal is to look as great and as glamorous as you can on stage when you are completely dehydrated. You're cranky, you're tired, you're everything, but you need to go on stage and do your routine and look like $1,000,000. You need to look like the winner. And at that competition, that first one, I hired my new coach for the next one. And then at that point, that didn't work out.
What do you mean you didn't win the competition?
I ended up getting third.
Okay. When you say it didn't work out, is not first place? What do you mean?
So at that competition, I hired a new coach. I got third at that competition, which I was like, this is great, but I could do better. And I hired a new coach, and he was much better than the coach I had before. He actually gave me meals, and he gave me a much different workout. And he would have me send videos, check-ins weekly, like in a suit with very specific poses, and he would modify everything based on how the body was developing. Mm-hmm. And within bodybuilding, you have a growth period and a cutting period, and it's all timing. You cut too early, you come in not necessarily too lean, but you come in deflated. Mm-hmm. If you come in and you didn't cut enough, then you come in puffy. And you're trying to dehydrate and you're sweating. Like you just didn't, the timing wasn't there.
Yeah.
So you learn a lot about your body.
What would you say were the biggest difference between the trainers? What did the second trainer have that the other trainer didn't have? And specifically about the meals and the workouts? Even if it's one thing of each, but I would love to know the big difference that you got from that.
Well, I've had a couple different.
Let's just do that jump because you definitely seem like the second one was much better than the first.
He was more specific.
There you go. So the other one was more vague.
Yes, and was also not a part of the federation, which I didn't know about.
Okay.
This one was very in tune with the federation, very in tune with who was judging, very in tune with even down to the suit color. I was like, can I wear green? He goes, no, blue.
Okay.
And I'm like, but I like green, no blue. It was very specific, very specific.
Nice. And what about the meals that stand out the most? The meal difference. The other guy was more vague. This guy was more specific. So was this guy more specific with the ounces? Is that what was big difference with this guy?
No, it was you're eating this at this time and this at
time
this time.
Day. Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot easier to follow.
Yeah. The stricter, the easier, right?
It is. And people go, well,
It's like a schedule. You follow the schedule. It's
follow the
simple.
schedule.
Put it on your calendar even.
Follow the schedule.
Yeah.
And then people go, well, don't you hate eating the same thing every day? I was like, it's easy. This is amazing. I know exactly what I'm having. I'm not thinking about what I'm not having because I know what I'm having.
That's the mindset.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
And it's even the same thing when you're showing up to these competitions. You can't think about who else is showing up.
Yeah, you got to be your best.
Because you're showing up.
Yeah, you got to do your best, be your best. That's it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. The mind is powerful. Mike Tyson always said he would defeat their opponent mentally before he even got to the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you let your mind overpower you're lost already.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
So what comes next? You find a different trainer, more competitions?
Well, I did end up finding the right coach for the last competition through a friend of mine. And it was complete precision down to, so the IFBB NPC Federation is not a drug-tested federation. So it was extremely specific down to what exact supplement and drug I was taking at what time. It was extremely specific.
It's pricey.
Drugs are expensive.
Just the whole thing.
Everything's expensive.
Yeah, keeping up with his regimen.
Everything was expensive. The food, I mean, my God, I probably spent $600 a week in groceries because he was also a stickler about eat organic. Like, you don't want to put those nasty chemicals in your body at the time. So no dairy, no gluten, which is honestly, it's not hard. Rice doesn't have gluten in it. Potato doesn't have gluten in it. So you don't have to like freak out and buy gluten-free stuff. Just rice, potatoes. It's easy. And salad with every meal. Green vegetables with every meal. A great day was when he let me have like a piece of fruit, and it was like, oh God, this tastes so good.
What fruits are off limits? Everything besides berries, right? I feel like berries are the ones that are not.
I was not allowed to have fruit.
Even berries.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to. Not when I was getting ready to go on stage.
You know why?
Too much sugar. Just this is a completely different. This isn't like I want to look good in a dress, or
even blueberries?
I'm going to no berries, or I want to go to the beach.
Interesting.
This is I need to nail it on stage. It's completely different. No fruit. There was a day I remember being so tired, like completely exhausted. He saw me. He's like, "Go when you leave here, go get a muffin." I was like, "Oh, really? I can have a muffin?" I'm like, "What kind?" He goes, "I don't care. Just go have a muffin." And God, did that muffin just gave me like, I felt great. But after that, of course, I had my meal. But oh God, that was so good. When he gave me a treat, it was amazing. It was amazing.
So, what about carbohydrates? He wouldn't limit the carbohydrates?
I was on low carb, which is basically 1 cup of rice a day. And it was
rice a day.
For
and that'll
me,
be the only carb the entire day.
That's it.
The entire day.
Besides veg, I mean, I was having salad.
Okay.
But yes. My carbs for my goal at the time was all based around my workout. So no. I had also for a little while, now I'm going back because this was a few years. I had a third of a cup of oatmeal with eggs in the morning with vegetables. Then was my
no carb vegetables.
It was green, so green
So
vegetables.
no carb.
Not like,
minimal carb.
Not carrots and those really yummy kind of things.
Yep.
We had so I had oatmeal, and I would do like the sugar-free syrup, cinnamon, eggs. It was 3 whole eggs, 3 egg whites, half a cup of veggies. And then my next meal was 3 ounces of chicken breast, half a cup of rice. And it didn't matter. He liked actually white rice. And I was like, great, because I do too. But it was not the kind like the minute rice in a cup. It was real rice, like basmati jasmine rice.
Definitely.
And then salad before workout, after workout. Next meal was fish with salad and some oil. My next meal was chicken again. So now we're at meal 5. My last meal of the day was 3 ounces of lean meat, so like a sirloin, and then vegetables.
So 5 meals a day. What was the workout?
6,
how many
6
workouts?
meals.
6 meals a day. Well, how many workouts?
So I did morning cardio. That was fasted. Then I would do an hour training, and then it was PM cardio, and the cardio was based on timing of everything. I think about a month out, he took away my oatmeal, took away my egg yolks. I had a half a grapefruit. Boy, that grapefruit was really good. So that was my fruit, half a grapefruit. And he changed my cardio to sprints. So I was doing sprints. So it was 30-second sprint, 1 minute recovery on the treadmill. Morning sprints, PM sprints, hour training. And then that was the year I turned pro.
And what does pro consist of?
A pro card. So it's like golf. You're an amateur until then you pre-qualify for the next tournament that's more prestigious. You know, goes from town to state to region. You know,
So it comes with winning competitions. That's how you get to pro.
You pre-qualify to the next, and then you go to one where it's a qualifier, not a qualifier. It's like you can get your card that day. And the one I turned pro at was one called Team Universe. It's a 2-day show in New Jersey, and but I remember because you meet people, but the girl's like, "Oh, are you going to be at the next one in Pittsburgh?" I was like, "No, I'm not. I am leaving here today with my pro card."
There you go. I like that.
I didn't tell them that. I just said no. I said I'm not going.
Yeah. What was the hardest part of your self-improvement journey?
It's lonely. You are saying no to a lot of things. You're very isolated. And I remember going to lake compounds with my kids, and I had all my food with me. And they didn't really take a lot of, they weren't really caring, like, oh, mom has her food again. But it's just, I brought my food everywhere. But it's, not everyone understands it. Not everyone's supportive. Oh, come on, just have a burger. Just do this.
It's not going to kill you.
It's not going to kill you.
You're not going to gain a pound.
Yeah, it's
you won't even notice it.
No.
You deserve it.
Yeah, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. I remember another thing, too, that he did, the coach. I was like, oh, God, I'd really love to have some ice cream. And he goes, okay, there's this really good brand called Van Leeuwen. And they have a vegan version. If you can find that, you can have a half a cup of that every week. And this was after I had turned pro and I kept training with him.
Is there sugar in it?
There is, but I wasn't getting ready to compete again. But it was the fact that it was dairy-free. And like a half a cup is satisfying. But I had the pistachio. Oh, God, it was so... No, actually, I think I had a hard time finding it. I think I ordered it. Because now it's everywhere. I mean, I think I just got the email. Now they're in Nashville. But at the time, they still just had their trucks around the city, and they were selling to, I want to believe Whole Foods was one of their first accounts. Because I don't even think I was looking at Trader Joe's at the time. Van Leeuwen.
Do you know why dairy is cut?
Inflammation.
Inflammation, okay. Nice. So now that you hit pro, what year are we in?
2017.
2017. So what drew you to the anti-aging medicine?
Well, I decided to study.
This is around that time, right?
I decided to study nutrition at that point, and I became certified in nutrition. I did one of the online programs.
And why did you take that program?
There was a lot of people that were really coming to me, and I was like, I really want to do this the legal way. So I had a good amount of clients. And then someone had referred me to a physician's office. And they had a whole concierge anti-aging, that was what they specialized in. And so just from day one, I had 1 to 2 new clients a week, which was great. And he was happy with me. I was happy at the practice. So he goes, all right, I'm going to start bringing you the patients are really liking you, Erica. So he started bringing me to some of these medical conferences so that I could learn. So if he was bringing in some of those, there's those fasting mimicking. Have you seen any of those?
Fasting mimicking?
Mm-hmm. It's a fasting mimicking kit you can get for a week. And
what is it?
It's like you get almost like I used to call it astronaut food. You get like these little soup pouches and these like astronaut foods where
it's like
almost
dried out and you have to hydrate it?
It's almost like you're fasting, but you're not. It's just enough to kind of give yourself like a little bit of nourishing.
Okay. So it's very small meals?
Tiny, because you're meant to be fasting for that 5 days.
Okay.
So it's an example of some of the things that we would see at the conferences, because he would want to bring it in and then I could help sell it to the patients when I'm talking to them about their other things. And I had such a great time at those conferences, and it really opened up like a whole new world of, wow, what is all this stuff and the science, and attending some of the seminars and learning about hormones and peptides. And that's really what it started with me. And from there, I ended up getting picked up by one biotech company that specialized in exosomes. And
what are exosomes?
So exosomes are nanoparticles of cells, like every cell in your body has them. And it's the message that the cell spits out to communicate with the other cells. They're pretty neat. A lot of people are talking about them now.
Is that similar to stem cells?
So stem cells have exosomes.
There you go.
And again, it's the message that comes out of the cell to communicate with the other cells. They typically are alerted to an injury, so danger in the body. So like arthritis is danger.
Okay.
It's inflammation. So a lot of times they are drawn to things like that. So they'll go to the area, and they're almost like the little soldiers, and they go there, and then they try to inspire all the other soldiers in the body to go there to heal the area.
Yeah.
But they need to really attach to something, or else they just keep floating in the body looking for injuries to tackle.
Nice. So you're going to these events, you're learning, you're being certified, you're helping people.
Yeah. Right? The exosomes were a lot of fun, because at that time, no one had really, doctors were like, what is this? Yeah. From there, I went with a different company, and it was placental tissue. And what was different about that one is, so they would take the tissue and take all the cells out, decellularize it. And then, but there was still enough of the extracellular matrix that was there to heal. It was really great for like diabetic ulcers. So really big on wound healing, or if, unfortunately, soldiers get deployed and they get blown up on where they are, and they get back, and so they'd have major atrophies in like ligaments and bone, and so it's something that could be applied there, and it would help to fix that area. So it was a really cool product. We were just going to start bringing it into the plastics world. So instead of using like a lot of fillers that are used like in the face are made from hyaluronic acid. So we were looking to use this instead of the hyaluronic filler because it was a permanent. It was a 5+ year. And we had just lined up a surgeon to do the study, and then COVID hit, and it was like, like. So that project ended, and the company had to figure out what to do with the product. And then it was at that point, like, okay, let's find some other products to disperse. But the problem is nobody was really buying anything because the offices were closed. So at that point, I had a couple years of limbo. And
were you doing any more competitions, or everything stopped?
I loved doing the competitions, but I love having my life.
Yeah, it's too strict to have another life.
It's you're either all in or you're not.
Or you're not going to win.
Or you're not going to win. And I like to win. Yeah, I'm not showing up to get second, because I've gotten second and I was like, and people are like, oh, Erica, this is great. You got second. I was like, whatever. Like I was on to the to the next one.
Absolutely.
And so I didn't want to compete anymore. The nature of the whole federation was shifting. And the women were coming in much more muscular. So a lot of women who were in the division physique, who were more muscular, were going down to bikini. They couldn't get muscular enough for physique, so they came down to bikini. And I would have had to have taken an enormous amount of drugs to have been competitive, and I wasn't willing to do that. So I said, you know what, I'm okay with that. And but I loved that whole. I did love it though. I loved it. I loved the regimen of it, knowing exactly the visualization of how's everything gonna come together, and it's a great. I found it to be a great experience.
Definitely, very educational too. You learn a lot about the body,
shifted
the
everything,
mind,
shifted
diet.
everything.
Yeah,
the mind over matter.
Yeah,
and you have to learn. Failure is not fun, but you learn from it.
Absolutely. You
learn from it. And what can I do better the next time?
The good stuff is not fun.
No, it's not. I mean, obviously.
All the hard work.
It's great.
It pays off, but it's never fun.
And because when you're showing up to the show where you're going to get your pro card, the top people, the top 5, they're not just following their plan. They're following it, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. I mean, they are like on it.
Yeah.
So you can't think, oh, I want to show up as a 10. You need to show up as a 20, to even be competitive.
Yeah. So
it's I mean, look at the professional athletes. I remember watching. Who's that race car driver? Hamilton. With the last name Hamilton?
I don't know.
I remember seeing him. I don't remember who he was on. He was doing an interview, and he was like, I know he was with Dave Letterman when Dave Letterman was doing his own shows on Netflix, not on. And he had him on, And he goes, what's it like when your season's done? And he's like, it's depressing. Like, because you get so into that high of winning.
Yeah.
And you go into like a depression. But it's pretty natural that's what it's like in that world.
In every world, you have to dedicate your life to it.
You have to dedicate your life to it.
Once it's over, it's like, now what?
Now what?
Yeah.
And you don't have those other goals set up. You're kind of like...
Yeah, you have to stay active.
You do.
So you were active. Are we up to where you started Healthspan?
All right. So
are we there yet, or am I going too
almost.
fast? All right. What comes
there.
now then?
So I was with this really high-end medical center, and I was doing these $85,000 a year memberships, and it was really great. But there was an enormous amount of people that would call that were sick, and I mean sick, Parkinson's, ALS, autoimmune was huge. Cancer, a lot of people were calling, but it was really neurodegenerative. Everybody wanted stem cells. Tony Robbins had just put this book out. Everybody wanted stem cells. They said, I want stem cells. I want stem cells. I want to go. I'll pay the $85,000 so I can get stem cells. And it was great, but it was really hard to say no to a lot of those people. And one thing that attending a lot of those different conferences helped with is you meet a lot of people and you meet a lot of different clinics around the world. And at that moment, a light bulb came on. And that's when we were talking earlier. I said I wanted to have this is my version now, and this is what it could be if I went to this clinic in this country and received a special treatment. So instead of you being the guinea pig and seeing how it works on you, your digital twin does it. And the first thing I did was I picked up the phone and I called a couple different companies that had multi centers. I said, what do you think? And they said, we love the idea. We love it. And I was like, all right, let me get to work. And then I found another technology that I really loved. It's, you look in the camera and it tells you your vitals. And it tells you, so what are vitals, right? Oxygen level, blood pressure, heart rate. Tells you these things just by looking in the camera. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. That didn't work out. Something about classifying it with, getting it classified correctly with the FDA didn't work out. So that didn't work out. And I was like, all right. Then one day it all just became, the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid. All right, what do people really need first? They need to be able to find the good doctors that want to teach and educate and actually heal people and make them feel heard.
Where are these doctors?
They are everywhere, right?
Nobody finds these
Nobody
doctors.
finds out. I
Everybody's
know.
doctor's the regular, medication, prescription, see you later.
Well, that's the difference.
Where do you find these good doctors you're talking about?
Well, I'm going to share a really interesting case with you. But when you're going and you get your checkup every year, I think the dentists are the only ones that really have it right because they're come in twice a year. But primary care, it's once a year, you get some blood work done, a little poke in the knee and elbows and reflexes are fine. And it's all right, see you next year. But, they're not checking, they're not really going deep on the cognitive function. They're not checking, things like the colon in the 20s and 30s, because that's when all that stuff starts. It's not happening after 40. It's starting at an early age.
You see the effects in the 40s.
You see it's too late in your 40s. Things that go on with your heart, it's not happening in your 50s. It's happening at 18.
Your lifestyle is causing it.
Genetics too. But
Genetics too.
absolutely lifestyles. I mean, I am going crazy right now with this MAHA movement of Make America Healthy Again.
Oh, it's great.
With getting all these chemicals out of food. My son today, Mom, can you buy me some really good cereal? I said, no, you can have some Cheerios. And well, that stinks. I said, then throw some sugar on it. I'd rather you have some sugar than some toxic chemicals and dyes that can make you sick.
Are Cheerios good? I thought they fell in the category with the rest.
They don't taste good. They're not Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
I was like, just make your own. Throw some cinnamon sugar on them.
Health-wise, they're okay to eat Cheerios?
Fine.
Really?
They're fine.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I don't hate Cheerios.
All right.
I don't hate Cheerios.
The plain ones?
The plain ones.
Okay.
Yeah, not
all
the...
right.
Not the
Good to know.
raisin.
I always threw them in the same category as all the rest. I just thought they were, from a big company that doesn't care and they put preservatives. I didn't know they were decent.
My favorite actually is Rice Krispies. I find it just has the least amount of, if you're going to have cereal, it has the least amount of junk.
Really?
Rice Krispies.
Rice and sugar? That's all I got?
They don't really have sugar though.
Or maybe the plain ones, right?
Yeah, the plain. Oh, we're not talking about the sweet ones.
Oh,
plain.
The actual just Rice Krispies.
Rice Krispies.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, not the frosted.
I see. All
Because
right.
even oatmeal can be questionable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's
absolutely.
like steel cut.
Yeah.
Steel cut oats.
All right, good to know. You guys hear that? There's some decent cereals out there. Usually I just package all cereals together and dismiss them, but there you go. The ones with the least ingredients are the ones.
The least amount of ingredients. Having Apple Jacks, I think Cookie Crisp, that's all the stuff I grew up with.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Cookie Crisps.
Amazing.
They used to be like real little cookies. Now they're just...
I don't even know what they are now.
Yeah, it's weird now, but they used to be little
They were
cookies
little cookies
floating in your milk. Genius marketing.
And the Pop-Tarts.
Oh, man.
I know.
Poison.
I know.
Delicious poison.
Chef Boyardee.
Horrible.
I mean, it's all that stuff. It's like we eat that growing up. It's, oh my God.
Yeah.
So my kids are like, Mom. I'm like, no, we're not having that. Knock it off.
Yeah.
So where are these good doctors? These good doctors are, they're out there. I promise you that they are out there.
I know they are, but how do we find them? Do they not take regular people insurance? Is that what it is?
A lot of them don't.
That's it then. That's why we don't know them.
So it's not like going to ZocDoc, which is a great tool for finding doctors that take your insurance.
Yeah.
This is finding a functional medicine, longevity, concierge, like those kind of doctors are harder to find. A lot of that is word of mouth or Google. And at that point, you don't know because what works for one person doesn't always work for another. Like, how much are you willing to spend? How much, like this doctor might charge $15,000 a year, $25,000 a year and takes care of executives. But is that the right plan that you want? Do you want someone who's just going to give you a longevity plan? Or do you want someone that's functional medicine who goes in and looks at every system in your body and helps devise a plan? Or do you want just a concierge doctor who is available for you 24/7, who, all right, I think I have the flu. All right, let's jump on a call. All right, let me send in some Tamiflu. You'll have it and you're all set. And that's $500 to $1,000 a month average. It can be more. So it really depends on the level of care you're looking for. But if you're looking to take your health to the next level of more precision care, I've put together this network of providers that I'm starting with the United States and Mexico for the first phase, but they will do your comprehensive lab work. Comprehensive lab work can be 40 pages. It can be down to your genes. It can be down to your nutrients, what you are allergic to with eating. I had no idea that I had a sensitivity to peanuts. But it shows up. Some of these doctors can put things such as lab work through your insurance, which is great because these labs can be $15,000. It's a lot of money. But the more precise you can find out about what's going on with your health, the more you can start turning things around and preventing things from coming out.
Because what's healthy for the other person might not work for your body.
It's not going to work. Okay, here's a good example. All right, person, cholesterol's high, blood pressure's high. All right, clean up your diet, start exercising. Okay, great. Clean up their diet, get on a statin, lose 30 pounds, goes back in, cholesterol's still high, blood pressure's still high. Okay.
What are you eating?
They were eating really lean proteins. They went plant-based. Plant-based, off the statin, cholesterol's great now. So this person eats sometimes some dairy, but vegan. That's what works for that person. Here's a really good example. Okay. So this is a friend of mine, and they've converted to like a Medicare plan with age. But then you leave it when, like, let's say you're retired. They're retired,
Mm-hmm.
so they go to more of like.
The actual insurance plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So with that, the primary care that they've had forever is like
minimal.
So we think that you'd be better off with this other group. So they basically divorced him and said, okay, we're going to go to this group. Okay. At that point, this person now has a pacemaker because the blood pressure was going really, really low and the heart and the breathing was stopping when he was sleeping. Produces too much calcium in the kidneys, but that's been going on the entire life. One day woke up and started walking crooked, like crooked, not just like a little like that, like completely crooked. And was like, Erica, I'm walking this way. Can I send you a picture? And I was like, you need to get to the hospital and see a neurologist. You might be having like a stroke. Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm just going to wait till I get back home. So gets back home and I'm like, well, who's your doctor? And sends me the doctor. I said, do you realize your doctor is a pediatrician? The insurance moved him to a group where the medical doctor is a pediatrician. Okay. Well, we're going to have you see a gastroenterologist because on top of that is also having a bunch of like indigestion, digestion stuff going on, including vomiting. And he's like, I think I got food poisoning. I said, you've had food poisoning 4 times this year. Most people have food poisoning once or twice in their life. This is not food poisoning. Something's going on. Goes to see the gastroenterologist. And they go, yeah, well, why don't you eat a Mediterranean diet, which is a great diet, but not for someone like him because his kidneys are on overdrive. So he can't have a lot of fat. But they didn't even think to look at that, even though they're part of a group. Okay. So the one doctor that actually came back and had some great feedback was the neurologist and said, you seem to have what's called I'm calling it this. It's the Leaning Tower of Pisa syndrome. It's the Pisa syndrome. And so I was like, what? And so they're going to do an MRI. At first, I wasn't, I was like, I don't know if they're going to push it through. They might try to have you go to like physical therapy first because insurance companies are becoming brutal about, obviously, this person needs to have an MRI, but, they want to try physical therapy first. Well, after this, he's like, I am so sick of this. I need a doctor who's going to be my quarterback and he has the money to pay for it. So I set him up with a great functional medicine doctor that is about 30 minutes from him. And what I love about this functional medicine doctor is he's a former general surgeon. So that means he was pretty much every day in the emergency room, who's coming in, what's coming in. They need to know what's going on with every system of the body at one time. It's like the AI of doctors. They need to know in like a matter of seconds what's happening because it's always triage. And they end up becoming, a lot of times they become concierge, functional medicine, longevity doctors because they're so sick of coming in and treating people when they're sick, when they're having the heart attack, when they're having the stroke, when this is happening. They're like, this can all be prevented if we just did the proper lab work, if we just did the genetic testing, if we just did the micronutrient testing, if we just did these things, we can prevent all these things from happening. So he's now seeing one of those functional medicine doctors and is so happy that he still has the pediatrician, but it's just one doctor to just manage everything. And that's the difference between the doctors in my network than a regular primary care, who they're not all bad. Some of them are still very, very good.
But I think he should cut ties with the pediatrician. It's time.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
It's definitely time to cut ties.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we some of these like stories, we laugh. Like
Wow.
It is comical. And if you can't laugh about it, I mean, it's...
Yeah, nobody died.
Nobody died.
Oh, wow. So that's where we are today.
Yes.
You have this network of
That's
different
the
type
first
of
phase
doctors.
is the different doctors. Some of them, are former cardiologists. Some of them, a lot of sports medicine, orthopedic. They've turned into this new way of treating patients where we don't need to replace the whole joint. We can do it a different way. Insurance doesn't always pay for it. But people are getting to that point where they're saying, I'd rather keep my joint if I can. If it costs me, $20,000, $30,000, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, because money is not more important than your physical
If you don't
health.
have your health,
If you're walking different for the rest of
You
your
can't
life,
have
but
your
you got it for
wealth.
free.
I mean, what's the point? And I mean, health is becoming the new. I just saw a conversation. It was, nobody's really flashing. It's not flashing the bag anymore. It's flashing I just got some natural killer cells. They're flashing longevity now.
I got a 6-pack.
Yeah. I got a
That's-
6-pack. I'm on peptides. What are you on?
Yeah, that's harder to do.
NAD
Talk
I
to
have.
somebody
Which
with a
one are you
6-pack.
doing? How are you taking it? How's it working for you? Like it's becoming a new conversation, and it's really fun to see.
Absolutely. So what's the big goal with this?
The goal really is to help to educate people for that same reason when there was that influx of calls where people were like, I'm sick, I don't know where to go. I have Google. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to trust. In that world of, say, stem cells, there's not a lot of regulation. There's no board certification around it. So people might say that they're doing stem cell treatments, but first of all, are they really stem cells? Were they stem cells and now they're dead? And is it legal? Do you know how to do it? Are you just like throwing darts and like injecting it into me and not knowing? Or are you doing it with like an ultrasound, properly trained?
Precision.
It's really can be very chaotic because of that, and people don't know where to go. And it's like Consumer Reports. Growing up, there was Consumer Reports about different brands and products that were out there, or this is that sort of thing. Well, who can I go for sports medicine? Who can I go? My aunt, I'm just making up a story. My aunt, she's acting a little funny. She's being very forgetful, asking the same question over and over again. What's out there? They're suggesting these drugs. They're not responding to her. They're causing inflammation, causing her brain to bleed. What can we do now? There's treatments out there that can get dementia and stop it and reverse it. People get their lives back. There's treatments out there that can get rid of stage 4 melanoma. There's treatments out there that can get rid of tumors. There's treatments out there that can, a simple molecule can get rid of viruses, bacteria, mold in your body just by having it inserted through your ears, your blood, or different areas of your body. People are sick of being sick, and they want to be healthy. So they're seeking these treatments to be healthy. And Elite Healthspan it gives you the network of where to go. The next phase is the master classes, the fireside chats of getting the education. Like for me to say what's an exosome is different than a PhD scientist who specializes in exosomes, explaining it all and how it affects the body. Or, one of my friends is a PhD scientist who specializes in natural killer cells. And he has a clinic down in Cancun, and a lot of the professional athletes and celebrities are going down there.
Because it's not okay to do here yet, right?
And I love the fact that they have the clinic in Mexico. It's a U.S.-based company in Mexico because it's illegal to do it in the United States. That's what makes them so ethical, because they're following the rules, they're following the laws, they're following the guidelines. Just because a treatment or a therapy is good, it still doesn't make it right to do it where you are. You have to respect the laws.
100%. Is there anything else you want to drop on us? I feel like we covered it all. We got all the way to where we are now. You're here to help people and link them to the right doctors.
Well,
it's a great thing.
I'm doing a pre-launch in about less than 2 weeks.
What consists of this pre-launch?
So the pre-launch is basically like a founding price to the platform. The platform is launching in April. In about a week, I'll be starting the onboarding process of over 4,000 doctors for the first wave. And while that's happening, I want to be able to give people the opportunity to lock in a founder's rate of $9.99 a month charged annually, as opposed to when the price goes up in April. It's a way to, support the cause, but also my way of saying thank you for the support. And another thing that we're going to be adding on is blood panels for over 100 biomarkers, but also a way to do it at home where you can do different panels with just like spats of blood. So there's some really cool, exciting things coming up, but that's it. So if your listeners want to join, they can get the founder's price at $9.99 a month, charged annually at $119.88.
Nice. Awesome. Please let the people know where they can find you. Anything you have coming up, even though you've already dropped it, and any last advice.
EliteHealthspan.co, co.com, EliteHealthspan.co. If you go there, you can subscribe to the email. And if you mention that you saw the podcast here, we'll offer you the founding price. And then the best advice you can get is figure out how to get a good night's sleep. If you can't sleep well, your body can't regenerate and heal itself. And that is nature's best way of regenerating your body. Sleep.
Nature got your back. Get some good sleep.
Get some good sleep.
Thank you very much for all the good knowledge you dropped on me and my viewers. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And thank you to everybody that watched. Peace and love.